Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome back to the Islamic SHAHADA channel. Khidr Shahid Salaam was born into a world of uncertainty. His mother practiced Buddhism, but his father, a man whose faith he never knew, was often absent, consumed by alcohol. Attention, guidance, and the warmth of a stable home were things Salaam rarely experienced in his early years. Growing up without a strong spiritual foundation, Salaam's first exposure to religion came from his environment. Friends took him to church. He attended, but without true understanding or conviction. Religion, at that time, was a ritual, not a source of comfort or guidance. Then came September 11, 2001. The attacks shook the nation, and the media was quick to paint Islam as a threat. Salaam, unfamiliar with the faith, felt a surge of anger. A deep resentment stirred within him, and he began to view Muslims with suspicion and hostility. Driven by this anger, he made a radical decision. He would join the U.S. Army, hoping to be deployed to the Middle East and take revenge. Even baptism, a ritual he had never valued, became a means to strengthen his resolve to kill. But fate intervened. He did not pass the military's tests, and his plan crumbled. This failure was a blow not only to his ambitions, but to his faith in Christianity. He felt abandoned by God, and the emptiness inside him grew. In response, Salaam turned to self-destruction. Alcohol became his refuge, casual sexual encounters his escape, and petty crimes, from theft to robbery, his daily reality. Eventually, his actions caught up with him, and he found himself behind bars. In prison, Salaam faced the stark reality of his choices. He sought God, yet his understanding was limited to the Christian tradition, which had repeatedly left him disappointed. Each day, he read the Bible, hoping for answers, hoping for redemption. Yet when the court handed down a lengthy sentence, decades for various crimes, faith felt meaningless. The God he had trusted seemed silent. It was in this darkness that Salaam encountered something unexpected. A small Muslim community, known among inmates as the 5%. Though they were a minority in the prison population, their devotion, discipline, and calm presence were striking. Unlike any religious experience Salaam had known, they embodied consistency and purpose. At first, Salaam observed quietly. His personal life had unraveled. His wife stopped visiting, and he received news that his father had passed away. The emptiness was profound, but he began attending Friday prayers, imitating the movements, learning the routines. Listening to the sermons, he felt a connection, as if the words were spoken directly to his heart. Curiosity turned into study. Salaam immersed himself in Islamic texts, learning the Qur'an, the meaning of prayers, and the discipline behind each ritual. Slowly, he discovered a faith centered on reflection, discipline, and praise, not merely asking for favors. The recitation of Al-Fatiha, its rhythm and meaning, brought him a serenity he had never known in Christianity. The contrast was stark. In his previous religious experience, prayer was transactional, a way to ask for things. In Islam, Salaam found devotion that strengthened the soul itself. It was a revelation that reshaped his understanding of faith and purpose. In 2008, after years of reflection and study, Khidr Shahid Salaam declared the Shahada, embracing Islam. The early days were challenging. Observing Ramadan during the sweltering American summer tested both his body and willpower. Yet the Qur'an's promise, "After hardship comes ease," resonated deeply. Salaam realized that enduring trials could lead to inner growth and spiritual strength. His life began to transform. Sentence reductions eventually allowed for an earlier release. Salaam rebuilt his life from the ground up. He met a devout Muslim woman whose companionship brought stability and love. Together, they established a family grounded in faith, far different from the chaos of his past. Through Islam, Salaam found more than ritual. He discovered peace, structure, and purpose. Work became meaningful, home life harmonious, and his mind finally quieted from years of anger and frustration. The lessons of discipline and reflection learned in prison became the foundation of a new life. Khidr Shahid Salaam's story is a testament to the human capacity for transformation. It shows that even in the darkest moments, amid hate, despair, and personal failure, faith can illuminate a path to redemption. His journey reminds us that change is possible, that purpose can emerge from pain, and that inner peace can be found in the most unexpected places. From bitterness to peace, from emptiness to fulfillment, Khidr Shahid Salaam's journey is not just a story of conversion. It is a story of resilience, spiritual awakening, and the transformative power of belief. Khidr Shahid Salaam's story shows us how faith can transform even the darkest chapters of life. From anger, despair, and isolation, he found purpose and peace through Islam. Yet, transformation is not confined to a single place or circumstance. Across the world, in a completely different life, another man would encounter a similar path, not in the depths of despair behind bars, but through curiosity, reflection, and the subtle guidance of those around him. This is the story of Oscar Jargiello, a man whose journey toward faith would begin far from his birthplace, amid the challenges of immigration, youthful mistakes, and a life once marked by crime. Like Salaam, Oscar would discover that even the most unexpected paths can lead to spiritual awakening. Oscar Jargiello was born in Europe to a Polish family and grew up in Sydney, Australia. His first language was Polish, spoken fluently in early childhood, before he began learning English. Moving to Australia presented immediate challenges. Enrolled in a Catholic school in Parramatta, Oscar could not understand a word of English. Each day at school was a struggle, a silent negotiation between his desire to fit in and the isolation of not speaking the language. Being an immigrant child came with cultural challenges as well. Traditions at home often contrasted sharply with those of his Australian peers. Over time, Oscar gradually adapted. English became his dominant language, surpassing Polish in fluency, and he began to navigate Australian society more confidently. Yet beneath the surface, a turbulent adolescence brewed. Emotional wounds from his upbringing, combined with the pressures of adaptation, created a restlessness and vulnerability that would later influence his choices. As he grew older, Oscar became involved in a world of crime. Drawn to an organized crime group operating in Australia, he found a sense of belonging and purpose he had been missing elsewhere. This path, however, would come at a steep cost. Eventually, Oscar was arrested and charged with several serious offenses, including a gang-related kidnapping, the storage of commercial quantities of drugs, and possession of an illegal firearm. Under Australian law, Oscar pleaded guilty to all charges, a move that allowed multiple sentences to run concurrently. Legal negotiations followed. The kidnapping charge was downgraded, the firearm charge dismissed due to lack of physical evidence, and the drug supply charge could not be fully proven. Nevertheless, because drugs were found in the garage of the house he stayed in and his DNA was on the strap of a bag containing both drugs and the firearm, Oscar was convicted for warehousing. He ultimately served 3 years and 3 months in prison. It was within the confines of these prison walls that Oscar's life began to shift. He encountered Islam not through force or preaching, but through the natural interactions with Muslim inmates. He noticed their calm demeanor, sincerity, and dignity, qualities that stood in stark contrast to the chaos he had known. They introduced him to books about Islam, which Oscar read with cautious curiosity. At first, he viewed Islam intellectually, as an interesting philosophy, not yet as a personal path. After his release in March 2022, Oscar was determined to rebuild. He sought to distance himself from the mistakes of his past and to grow personally. Learning new languages became part of this journey. He studied Spanish, hoping one day to travel through Latin America, and later focused on Arabic, aiming to explore Dubai. During this time, Oscar connected with native Arabic speakers through a language exchange app. Unbeknownst to him, These conversations coincided with Ramadan, and many of his language partners began sharing Islamic content, short video clips, positive messages, and heartfelt reminders. Oscar, who had never been inclined to read long books, found himself captivated by these videos. What began as casual curiosity gradually developed into deeper reflection. The spiritual messages, core values, and sense of inner peace conveyed in these clips resonated with him. Concurrently, Lebanese Muslim friends in Sydney began sharing similar content, reinforcing the exposure. Slowly, the algorithm of social media and the sincerity of personal connections converged, opening his heart. One day, Oscar mustered the courage to ask a friend, "If I go to the mosque and pray, even though I'm not a Muslim yet, would that be strange?" He wasn't ready to convert. He simply wanted to experience the spirituality firsthand. Welcomed warmly, he visited the mosque, performed ablution, and joined in prayer, mimicking the movements even without understanding the words. That moment was transformative. A rush of serenity enveloped him, goosebumps spread across his skin, tears rolled down his cheeks. For the first time, he experienced an inner peace he had never known. He realized this was more than curiosity. It was a calling he could not ignore. That night, Oscar messaged his friend, "I'm doing it tomorrow." The next day, a Friday during Ramadan, he returned to the mosque. Surrounded by the congregation, he declared the Shahada, formally embracing Islam. A video captured the moment and was later shared widely online. For Oscar, the public recognition was irrelevant. The true transformation had occurred within, in the unshakable peace that now filled his soul. Today, Oscar Jargiello acknowledges his past and the darkness that once defined him, yet he also embraces the guidance that reshaped his life. In Sydney, he lives with mindfulness, introspection, and purpose. He is open to sharing his story with others, hoping that his journey might inspire those seeking a second chance. For Oscar, embracing Islam was not an end but the beginning of an entirely new chapter, one filled with faith, reflection, and personal growth. Thanks for watching until the end. I hope it was useful. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.